Did you know that onions are used in almost every cuisine in the world? They really form the basis of so many wonderful recipes, their flavor, their aroma, and I thought it would be interesting to learn a little bit more about them today. So what I have in front of me are referred to as dry onions, and that's the type of onion that we use every day. Now, this is a globe onion, and that's because of the shape, that nice round shape. Globe onions come in yellow, white, and red. Now, yellow is the onion that we use all the time. It's used 75% of the time. So if you see a recipe that calls for onions, feel free to use yellow onions anytime. White onions are more commonly associated with Mexican food. They're a little milder. They're excellent in salsa. Red onions, often used in salads, sometimes referred to as Italian onions, so you will see them in Italian recipes as well. Now, I used to think that these were the sweetest onions out there, but that's before I tried all the different sweet varieties on the market. Sweet onions include Vidalias, Oso sweets, Maui's, Walla Walla onions, and they're just all over the place now. You used to only see them at certain times of year, but now I'm seeing them all the time in my grocery store. Now, sweet onions are my go-to onion when it comes to an onion I'm going to use for something raw, like a sandwich or a salad or a hamburger slice, but I also love them grilled because they have a little extra sugar and they get a little caramelized when you put them on the grill, so they're really delicious. Now, no matter what kind of onion that you're buying, two things that you should remember. The larger the onion, the milder the flavor. And second, when you're choosing an onion, you should try to choose something that is heavy for its size, that is firm and dry and doesn't have any real noticeable blemishes or soft spots. Also, don't buy any that are sprouting. So those are the tips. When you get your onion home, you want to be sure that you're storing it in a cool, dry place, but don't refrigerate your onions until after they're cut. The reason is refrigerators are humid and they start to spoil the onion faster. Now, you could do what your grandma used to do. Take an old pair of pantyhose, cut the top off, and drop your onions down inside. Now, you do them one at a time, and you put a knot in between each onion. Then you can hang them in your pantry or in a cupboard. This allows them to stay dry and cool, and they get a nice amount of air circulation. And so an onion like this can actually last up to 2 months in your pantry. When you're peeling onions, you sometimes want to peel an onion whole because you're going to use it for hamburger slices or you're going to use it for onion rings. So there are a couple tricks I wanted to tell you about. First, you just chop the ends off, the stem and the root, and then you hold it under warm running water, and that allows you to peel that skin off very easily. If you're just going to chop the onion, then just chop it straight through from the root to the stem, and you can peel the skin off very easily that way. Now comes the dreaded cutting of the onion. I know we all think, oh no, cutting onions, I don't want to cry. Well, the reason that we cry is that there are sulfuric compounds in these onions and they're released when we chop them. There are lots of wives' tales about how we can get around those tears, so I'm going to share a few today. You can put a wooden spoon in your mouth and hold it there while you're chopping. You could also take kitchen matches and put them in your mouth, but make sure the little tips are positioned under your nostrils, and that helps to keep you from crying. You can put your onion in the freezer for 20 minutes and then chop it. You can also wear safety glasses. But my trick, a sharp knife. That way I don't spend a lot of time cutting onions and I spend less time crying. So once you cut your onions, then if you have a really sharp smelling onion, you might want to take the pungency out of that onion. So I have two tricks I use for that. Number one, I put sliced or chopped onions in lime juice. That takes a little bit of that kind of sulfuric compound out of the onion and mellows them out, but you still get a great onion flavor. Another trick is to put your chopped onions into ice water. You let them sit in the ice water for 30 to 60 minutes and you change that water 2 or 3 times, and that really reduces kind of that strong oniony flavor. Now, once you have got your onions all chopped and it's time to clean up, the last thing that you want to think about is, how do I get the onions off my hand, or how do I get the onions off my cutting board? Well, there are a couple hints for that as well. With your hands, you can rinse them in some white vinegar, or you can rub them with lemon or salt, and then in any case you wash them with warm soapy water afterwards, and that should help to take the smell away. The other thing that you do with your cutting board is very similar. You can wipe it down with vinegar and then wipe it off with warm soapy water, or you can do what I do, which is to take a lemon, cut it in half, half. Sprinkle your cutting board with salt and then kind of use that lemon as a pumice. And you rub the salt and the lemon juice all around, and that takes the smell away, and you wipe it down afterwards. So now that we are fully armed with all of our onion knowledge, let's get cutting.